Greetings and salutations, horror movie fans. My name is Gilbert Ybarra, and welcome back to the Attic Review. The Attic Review. The Attic Review. The Attic Review. I'm just kidding. Nothing's going to happen if you say it 5 times. However, I wouldn't test your luck when it comes to the name that shares the title of the movie we're going to be discussing. This movie was released in 1992 and very groundbreaking. Why is this movie groundbreaking? This is the first time up until this point that we had seen a black slasher. The bad guy slasher we had never really seen before. And here comes Tony Todd to show us this iconic performance in this, on the surface, already a scary movie. Very scary, supernatural. However, once you deeper into the movie and even like the inspiration for this film, shit, it gets scarier on a few more different levels. So what movie are we talking about that made Tony Todd a legend? A little movie called The Scary as Hell Candyman. Let's see that cool poster. To this day, I still will not say that name 5 times in a row. It scares me. And this movie is frightening. But I didn't know it was that much scary when I was doing research for this, which surfaced a lot more heavier stuff than I was anticipating. I want to talk a little bit about it before I get to the movie, but wow, because again, on surface we see a supernatural slasher. We've got an urban legend. We've got a hookman. We've got a hookman for nowadays, and this is already a scary, menacing character. Which can also be, once you're watching the film, you can see, yes, this could be like a metaphor for the people living in these housing projects. They could just be using this as a way to escape their everyday lives. The scary stuff that they see going on can be attributed to perhaps an urban legend. Okay. To deal with the everyday horrors that they live through, they go to something scarier. They blame it on Candyman. A Candyman is a legend from, I believe they said, the 1890s. He was the son of a former slave, and I guess the father had amassed a lot of wealth, and so he became a talented artist, fell in love with a daughter of a member of a high society person, like someone privileged. The father did not like that very much, so Candyman was, he was dealt with in the worst possible way. So as a punishment, they get Candyman, and by they I mean the father of the daughter that is impregnated by Candyman. He hires a bunch of goons to go get Candyman and saw off his right hand in horrible fashion with like a dull, rusty blade, and then they cover his naked body in bees, man, and he gets stung to death, and then they burn his body and spread it all over the housing projects, now known as Cabrini Green. So the residents of Cabrini Green have 2 sources of fear to keep them on high alert. Now, speaking of 2 sources, Candyman itself has 2 sources, A and B. A, the first one being The Forbidden, a story by Clive Barker. Ever heard of him? Bingo. That Clive Barker that gave us Hellraiser also wrote this short story about social inequalities, racial segregation, things of those natures. Social topics that are uncomfortable but need to be discussed so we can try to find a solution. Now this leads me into part B, the other components of where Candyman gets a source from. Part B comes in the form of some real life crime, unfortunately. In certain housing projects, the way the buildings were designed, it wasn't really safe for the tenants. So much so that a woman was actually murdered by intruders that got through her medicine cabinet in her in her bathroom, got through it and killed her. And neighbors had heard something happening, but nobody really took it seriously until a few days later, and then we find a dead body. And awful, because nothing was really done about it, and just the way that people were expected to live in these housing projects started raising flags around the country, like, hey, we need to look at this stuff. So that's the other source material, is real life horror, and that's why I think that this movie is so much scarier than, it is frightening to see Tony Todd, all 6'5" of him, running around with a goddamn hook and bees coming out of every orifice. Yes, that's scary. However, it can't really compare to what we see in this particular Chicago housing project called Cabrini Green. And now let's get into the movie. enough of the backstory. Let's get to the real story. We've got the gorgeous Virginia Madsen playing Helen. Helen and her friend Bernadette are post-grad students looking to do their paper on kind of like urban legends, all right? And we're seeing that in Cabrini Green, a notorious housing project, not just in the movie, in real life too. Look into it a little bit more. It is very fascinating. These ladies, though, should not be at Cabrini Green at all. Not just in the movie, like I said, like in real life too, it was dangerous. When they were making this film, they actually had to pay off gang members and let them be in the movie for them to get the shots. Man, talk about storytelling. They really risked themselves. Anyways, I'm getting off subject here again. Helen, of course, has to debunk the urban legend of the Candyman. She is hell-bent on basically saying that Candyman is just the way that the people of Cabrini Green cope and deal with the everyday atrocities that they live through. I guess it's a good enough thesis until you piss off Candyman. Okay, that is Candyman, but not the Candyman we're thinking of, okay? So she was right in that sense. There was a gang leader going around by the name of Candyman, striking fear into the hearts of all the tenants, and really allowed him to rule with an iron fist because of the name of the legend and his brutal acts throughout Cabrini Green. So okay, she debunks it. Haha, she won. But at what cost? Psych! She did not win, because now we've got the real Candyman after her, and he is pissed. Why is he mad? Because he's like Freddy Krueger, if you remember Freddy vs. Jason. You kind of need those whisperings. You need the belief of others, people, and like the fear to be around. Okay, without those whispers in the classrooms, as he liked to say it, he doesn't exist. So what happens? Someone's got to pay a price in blood. So sure, Candyman's trying to get his name out, but at the same time trying to keep those gloves clean, baby. And he's setting up Helen everywhere, so it looks like she's committing some Candyman-like work, but without the Candyman persona, alright? So she is looking like a madwoman here, all because she tried to debunk an urban legend. That'll learn you, Helen. Now, very similar to Scream, Candyman constantly has pressure on Helen, whether it be from Candyman himself, the gangs, her awful husband, or even one time constantly grilling her about everything. Helen is under scrutiny. But in the midst of all this, it's really strange because think of like the Phantom of the Opera kind of weird romance there as well. It's not as if like Candyman just wants to like or just torment her. In a weird way, he's kind of trying to seduce her. I mean, the man's got game and stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of like, whew, what a weird feeling. It's almost like a Hannibal Lecter and Clarice kind of feeling, but I don't know, it's not taken too far. And oh man, I got a sad story about that. Okay, quick pause for this sad story. I call it sad because you would think that you have a great scene, a great movie, and we're breaking ground here, but for some reason, and this is kind of a spoiler, there's a part at the end where, okay, yeah, this is a spoiler. There's a part at the end, near the end, where Candyman and Helen are kind of dancing, and the producers of the film decided to cut like a good portion, like we're talking minutes from their scene of them dancing, because they were worried about interracial relations and how that context could be, I don't know, construed, misconstrued, but I really thought that was messed up, because I think even Tony Todd said it, like, I can be around the screen and be this vicious killer, but I can't dance with this woman. That's not a direct quote, but wow. Enough of the sad stuff. Let's get back to my dime piece slayer, smooth operator Candyman, chasing Helen throughout the duration of this movie. It's very scary. Got some really good jumps. And again, I don't like spoilers, guys, so what are we going to do? We're going to get to the fun part of this, because I think I've covered enough. I don't want to give away the movie. I want you to watch it. So this part, though, I'm going to talk about what made me jump, what parts kind of stood out, and these are full of spoilers, so please do not watch this part, the fun part, until you've seen the movie. After you've seen it, please join the conversation. But everyone that's seen the movie, let's get to the fun part. Alright guys, again, please, I'm hoping you've already seen the movie. I've got two fun parts and kind of a theory I want to throw at you guys and see what you think of. But let's get to my first fun part. The first fun part comes to when we have Helen in an institution. She is in a wheelchair, she is strapped down, and she's been doped up like she didn't realize that she's been in there for a month until talking to her head doctor, who's trying to tell her, hey man, you're gonna have some serious crimes against you. You need to start cooperating, and do you really think you see this Candyman in your head, you psycho? And she's like, I can prove it. He's like, oh yeah, let's see it. Oh, did she ever prove it? Because I myself, watching the film, she's doing her countdown. She's like, Candyman, Candyman. Like I said, I'm not going to say it, but she says it for the fifth time. And it's kind of like, and the movie watcher's like, oh shit, kind of knew it. So the doctor nonchalantly is right, and all of a sudden, and he is getting just, I don't know, how do you say, I don't know, he's just getting ripped open from behind. I can't think of the proper terminology for that, but he's getting ripped open from behind, and it's just like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that. And then after that, she's sitting there in horror, and he's just like bows out and gets reverse pulled out through the window. And what a fun part that was. For my second fun part, we gotta backtrack a little bit. Okay, we're gonna go back to Helen now has been confronted by Candyman once. She's already been she's been through the booking process, so she's under duress again. So she's in her bathroom looking at the medicine cabinet mirror. I don't know why people do this, but for horror sake, I love it. So she is looking at the mirror, and she opens up the medicine cabinet. And now this is a great scene. It's scary because all of a sudden a hook pushes through, scares her, and she runs out. Yes, that part is amazing to watch. However, the fun part of it is that she did not know, the actress, Virginia Madsen herself, did not know that that hook was going to come through and scare the piss out of her, okay? Her reaction was genuine because she didn't realize that we're going to do that. Tony Todd, afterward, the sweetheart that he is, he apologized profusely over and over, saying how sorry he was. I mean, yeah, she forgave him, it's acting, but she did not know it was going to happen. So watch the movie and see her actually react when that hook comes through the medicine cabinet. It's an amazing part. Now, theory time, guys. Let's try this theory thing. I have something going. Let's see what you think. While watching this film a few times, I happened to have my thinking cap on a couple times, and during that process, I kind of noticed something that I wanted to run by you guys. Remember how she was trying to debunk the whole Candyman legend, just attributing it to people having a coping mechanism to deal with their lives. Now, what if after she got assaulted by Candyman, the drug dealer, gang lord? Let's just say gang lord. After she gets assaulted by Candyman, the gang lord, that's when she starts seeing the actual supernatural Candyman. Maybe after, years of living in her posh lifestyle, like almost like, upper class, like high class living, she's exposed to the violence, the crime, the gang activities of Cabrini Green, and she just cannot handle it. Along with the fact that she almost lost her life and something much worse could have happened to her, maybe she snaps. It's not until after she's walking back into the parking lot and she's looking through her pictures that she had taken does Candyman appear. I'm just saying, it seems that maybe her PTSD after she was assaulted could be into Candyman's existence now. Every time something bad happens, she's blaming him, but maybe it was her experience that led her to do these things, and now she's covering it up with Candyman. But hey, that's just my theory. What do you think? Alright guys, so enough of the fun parts. That's the gist of Candyman. Gotta say, it is a fantastic scary movie. I mean, whatever label you want to put on it, slasher, supernatural, whatever, it's a great scare and awesome undertones that if you want to research it, it's quite fascinating and worth the time to read. No more fun part, no more spoilers. Candyman is a fantastic scary movie to watch, and also, like I said, it's got some great undertones. You can watch for the scares and jumps, and you can stay for the social commentary that the movie is so elegantly presented. So speaking of elegance, I cannot speak highly enough of just how exquisite the performances are, the direction is, the on-screen presence of Tony Todd, the musical score, but ultimately to just the source material from Clive Barker. Why? I'll tell you why, alright? Because that cheeky chap snuck into a horror film, like a slasher film. He snuck in some William Shakespearean content, alright? In the movie, there's a couple of Shakespearean references throughout the film, alright? I can't say that I spotted it on my own. When I was doing the research for this film, it was kind of pointed out, and once I noticed it, I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. So, can you guys spot where Shakespeare is located in this movie? Candyman 1992, I want to say that it has survived the test of time because this movie still spooks me, still scares the piss out of me. I love watching Tony Todd and his legendary, iconic performance, and I can see why this is considered a modern horror classic. So please check it out, guys. I forgot again, please click like and subscribe. Tell your friends, leave some comments. Tell me what you liked about the movie. Tell me what you're looking forward to for the remake. And alright guys, we'll talk again when the remake comes out. In the meantime, my name is Gilbert Ybarra. Thank you for watching the Attic Review. Smile Tiger.